Hi guys, welcome to Gadget First. Today we're having the full review of the Blackberry Curve 9320. This is shaping up to be quite a popular device this year. Pretty damn new. We got this sent to us by Vodafone, and it's a slightly different change, a slight change from Blackberry's other curves. But on the whole, this looks pretty much the same as all of the curves. Not much has changed here. But let's go over the looks and the external features of the phone. We've got a 2.4 inch screen running at a resolution of QVGA, so it's not breaking any records here for sharpness or anything, but it's not too bad at all. The colours are okay and it's nice and readable in sunlight, so you'll be able to do your texts and emails on sunny days. You've got your 4 buttons and the touchpad at the top here, followed by your QWERTY keyboard, 4-row keyboard. It's not the best keyboard I've ever used, I have to admit. I mean, you've never had them with many Blackberries, like a full number row, but I just don't find it too convenient, to be honest. I'm not that much quicker using it than a touchscreen keyboard, which is a bit disappointing because many people buy QWERTY keyboard phones because they're so much faster to type on than touchscreens, but it's not too quick, to be honest. Nothing too special. We've got a front-facing camera and the light sensors and the speaker bar up there. Call quality on this is really good, to be honest. The microphone picks up my voice really well, and I can always hear the person clearly, whether there's ambient noise or not. So on the left-hand side of the phone here, we have I'm not sure what that is actually. It's just like looks like a hole in the phone, but it's not. It's a micro USB port here for syncing and charging. BBM button here, which gives you quick access to BBM. It can also be programmed to use anything you want, like to start up the browser or be a shortcut to anything. On the right hand side, we've got the volume rocker and the camera key. It's just a single. There's no it's not a dual stage camera key, it simply just presses down once. On the back we've got the 3.2 megapixel camera with flash. The camera, although it's not meant to be a device for taking brilliant pictures on, you'd expect more than a 3.2 megapixel camera nowadays. Even the lowest of the low end phones have 5 megapixel cameras nowadays, so it's a bit disappointing, but not too shabby, because you're not going to be taking pictures too much if you're going to buy this phone. On the back we've got a glossy plastic back screen with the silver Blackberry logo. It does pick up fingerprints quite a bit, but it's nothing too bad, just a quick wipe gets rid of them. And you've got the curve branding up there. You've got these silver accents all over the phone, around the edges of the phone. Nice touch. Makes it a little less boring to look at than previous curves. On the top you have the unlock button, and you also have the 3.5mm headphone jack for headphones and all kinds of audio output. So let's just unlock the phone now. I've got to sign into my Blackberry ID quickly, so I'll do that off camera. There we go. Right, and here you go. This is the basic Blackberry home screen. If you're not familiar with it, it's a single home screen, and you use the trackpad to navigate your way through different things on the home screen. This thing at the bottom here brings up all your apps, and you can sort them by all of them, your favourite apps, your media apps, downloaded apps, and your frequent apps. So that's pretty useful. And it's a bit prettier, and all the animations are a bit nicer than on previous Blackberry OS versions. You can quite quickly change your profile here if you need to quickly change to silent. You can see your notifications here, brings down a nice drop down bar. It's like I've clicked on these and I've acknowledged them, but they're not exactly going, so it's a bit annoying. You've got the quick search button here, but it only searches things on the phone. It won't do a Google search or a search engine web search for anything. It's all based on the phone, which is a bit, well, just makes it not quite as useful. Yeah, and you can also do your speech, music, but not connected to a server. But yeah, you can do your speech there to search for things. On the top bar here, if you click it, it brings down kind of like a status bar that's similar to Android in the way it comes down from the top and gives you quick access to stuff. You've got your mobile network to turn on and off, your Wi-Fi, mobile hotspot and Bluetooth there. You can also set alarms, and then you have all the other things you need if you want to change them, like Wi-Fi. You can see the options of the phone and all manner of things like that. So let's talk about the internals of the phone. It's got 512 megabytes of RAM, paired with 512 megabytes of memory for storage, and an 800 megahertz processor. We don't actually know the proper model of the processor. Blackberry haven't expressed what processor is actually on the inside, just its clock speed of 800 megahertz. Although saying that, you think of 800 megahertz nowadays and you think, oh, that's pretty slow. But it does seem quite snappy, opens apps quite quickly, especially the Blackberry Messenger, pretty much instant. The camera is also very quick at opening, and the shutter speed is brilliant, especially when you don't have flash on. So on the whole, the hardware is not too bad. It feels solid in the hand as well. Right, so I've already showed you the home screen, but let's delve a little bit further into the software experience on the Blackberry. So obviously you've got Blackberry's BBM, or Blackberry Messenger. I personally don't use this, as to be honest I don't know a lot of people who use Blackberries. It's like the odd one or two people use Blackberries who I know, and so I haven't really found much of a use for it. But if you are going to find lots of people, not find lots of people, but if you know a lot of people who own Blackberries and use BBM all the time, then BBM is really useful because it doesn't use your texts. You can send pictures and stuff. It doesn't use your picture messages or texts, so it's pretty handy, although it does require internet. So if you don't have an unlimited internet plan, it can get a bit pricey. Oh, it's just froze for a bit there. There we go. No. See, it doesn't seem to be working. I've never had that problem before. But it doesn't seem to want to do much at the moment. I'll just reboot it quickly. I've never had that problem before, to be honest. It's the first for it. I was just on BBM and I exited the app and just didn't respond to the touchpad. No. Still not having any of it. Alright, I'll do a full reboot. I'll be back in just a sec. Sorry about that, guys. I've just took the battery out, put it back in to force it to do a full reboot, which takes quite a while on Blackberries. And it seems to be working alright now. I wouldn't let that put you off of getting this phone if you're wanting it. Like I said, I've never come across that before. But I'll just go across a couple of things I found quite annoying with this phone now. Firstly, as you can see, it is connected to the local BT open zone, but it's in range. If I go into the Wi-Fi settings, it's in range of my own Wi-Fi network, which it's already been set up to use. So by default it goes to a free hotspot instead of your own Wi-Fi, which is a bit stupid. even though I'm in range of my own Wi-Fi and it's all set up and fine. If I click on my own Wi-Fi now, it'll connect to it perfectly, but it just prefers to go onto an open zone one instead, which is a bit useless and stupid. Right, personally, I find these keys a little bit too small and a little bit too close together. I've not had too much experience using Blackberries before, and I'm not sure how it compares to, say, older Blackberries and higher end Blackberries, as this is the low end side of things. But the spacebar feels a little bit small, and it seems like you have to use the Alt key for pretty much everything. So it's not the quickest keyboard to use. What else is there I don't like about it? Not much, to be honest. It is a good phone. It sounds like I'm droning on about all the bad things, but it really is quite a good phone, to be honest. £130 on Vodafone is pretty good. One thing there is to note though is that the Blackberry app world really isn't up there with the likes of Apple's App Market or the Google Play Store. It just doesn't have the same amount of apps, and the apps that you do find really aren't of the same quality. Like you think of a popular app that's on iOS and Android at the moment, Temple Run. I don't know. They might have Temple Run, but I don't know if they do. No. What's another popular app? You want another web browser? What about Firefox? That's on iOS and Android, I think. Nope, it's not there. There just doesn't seem to be quite the same amount of apps, and they're just not quite as good as the versions you'll get on Android and iOS. So if you're looking for apps, if you're an appaholic, that's quite cool. It's not really the phone for you, I'm afraid. But saying that, email integration is pretty good, as you'd expect with a Blackberry. If I can actually find where I put the bloody email application. I don't know. I think I've done a system reset before. Yeah, I've done a system reset before, so I haven't set up my email. But honestly, email integration on this Blackberry and most Blackberries is pretty damn good. You have the option of setting it up with a server at work, all kinds of things. It's really good for email. All kinds of setting up with servers and encryption, to ensure that it's secure, because these are predominantly work phones. Blackberry have only just become quite popular with consumers, so they have to provide a level of security that's really good, and they still do that. But yeah, so as a summary, it's really good. For the price, the screen is alright, the camera's a bit of a letdown, fingerprints on the back quite a bit, it's a little bit slow and there's not enough apps. But on the whole, it's pretty good. And if you're wanting a Blackberry, you're desperately wanting a Blackberry, and you're on a budget, this is the one to go for.